Hello Blender folks, welcome and welcome back. This is Gnomes, and this is a quick video that I'm gonna stream here. It's a feature request. It is for a feature request for the Blender community, the developers of Blender, of a thing that is kind of difficult to explain only by words and imagery, so it needs some demonstration because it's not a very popular tool. So it's called the Auto IK option. It's on pose mode only. It's this thing here. I have a shortcut here. It works on grabbing bones. So for example, here I'm grabbing this bone when I have the Auto IK option, and there's a certain behavior that will be a behavior of inverse kinematics. And we can, if I don't have the option, then I do an FK thing, right? So this Auto IK option, in my personal experience, it's very, very interesting and powerful, but I also think it's very, very underdeveloped in Blender currently. And this is a shame because this, I strongly believe that this is the medium-term future of 3D animation. Because it allows very versatile rigging without any rigging. If we just have a skeleton built in a certain way with the proper parenting setups, you can have this thing operating, and in very, very curious ways. It has certain features already which really, I thought in the beginning that, but it has limitations relative to an IK bone constraint, for example, which is a more complicated setup to make in the rig. And without the IK option, we don't need to build the rig with bone constraints and a lot of other restraints. And I thought that certain things like pinning. Imagine this is a body, a skeleton, half of a body. This is an arm, the left arm of a character, humanoid character. So you see that I have three examples here. So I have a short script here of things that I'm gonna present. There is more to Auto IK option than it appears to be. And even the thing that I thought that was a limitation, it exists already in the Auto IK option, but it is, like I said before, underdeveloped. So if the developers, if the Blender community made adjustments, improvements, upgrades to this tool, it will be fantastic, and it would even, in certain cases, even can render the IK bone constraint obsolete. This is how good this thing is or can be if we develop, if we can realize what it can really do, because it can be very versatile on the rigs. So okay, let's just, here's just the contextualization, folks, right? Because maybe not everyone is familiar with this. So I have this shortcut at Alt X. I'm on pose mode. It just works on grabbing. So here I have this bone. It's not a root bone. There's nothing. It's not connected to anything, right? It's just a single bone here, right? No parenting relation. So let's extrude something from it. Now this bone is connected. Okay, let's make another one. Okay, let's do some other extrusion like that and that. Okay, so I have a lot of bones here, and they have this demo Auto IK bone. Okay, so how this works is that, let's leave this panel on so you see that I can easily switch here. If I grab this bone, for example, here, G, so you see that, okay, where's the, okay, I need to enable it, right? So you see that all the chain now, there is something called with the, as I'm grabbing here, not holding grab, just grabbing, right, and moving the rig, I can scroll the mouse wheel, middle mouse button, and see that here appears Auto IK length. So this is the length of the IK chain for the Auto IK option when it is on. And so we can adjust this on demand by just scrolling down or scrolling. So you see that apparently parenting line, dashed line is there, right? So you can on demand do this change here, you see. And okay, so here's I have an Auto IK length of 1, so it's just the bone itself, right? So let's try another one. So for example, if I pick this one, so now Auto IK length of 2, that means that, okay, it's 1 and 2. And then whatever it's afterwards, it's of course this moves on F key, while until here it is I key, right? Because of the Auto IK length. So then I can augment. So now these 3 bones are I key, inverse kinematics, and that bone is still F key because, right, I'm not grabbing it directly. So now these 2 are F key, and so on. And if we have an Auto IK length of 0, let's reduce to 0, then this is like infinite, right? Just in the IK bone constraint setup when you have chain length 0, right? So this is similar. So this is like infinite, but the rig ends here. So this is just the first demo presentation here, right? Now let's look for some comparisons here of how this works, and later on I will be showing what really I believe would be great for the upgrades of the Auto IK option in Blender. So here is okay, so these are setups. Here the bone is connected, everything is connected in this rig here, and in this rig here we have a parented offset just in this here, just on this joint. All the rest is connected joints except for this bone here, so it has unconnected parent. All the rest is connected, right? So it's the same, just one change. And for this one is also the same thing for everything, all connected, except that here it's left unconnected, so you don't even have a connected parenting here. And this is where things start to go very, very crazy. And now you'll see the potential of this. Well, maybe not right now, but I have another example. We're gonna look at that in a moment. So here, if I try with this, the Auto IK option with the changing the wheel, right? You'll see that I can extend the Auto IK from towards the spine, and so that can be very interesting, right? And we can also pick many bones at a time, but sometimes this not necessarily. Yeah, this can sometimes provide some interesting results, but you see now. Here everything it's F key despite the fact this is selected, so it's and here it's a bit difficult to visualize, but I have an Auto IK length of 2, and so the neck there is bending and the shoulder is bending, okay, but not let's augment to 3. Okay, so okay, and because I have this bone selecting, something weird is happening, but let's try. Yeah, anyway, so this is, okay. So this, you see that when I grab this bone, wait. Oh, no, this is the connected. Sorry, folks, just a mistake here. So, okay, so this is connected and it moves everything, right? This one is the parented offset. So the behavior changed here because I cannot extend the chain length, the Auto IK length, towards the spine from these arm bones because of this disconnected parenting, offset parenting. But if I happen to pick, let's say, the head, then yes, I can have both skeleton parts moving on Auto IK option because it is always enabled right here. But I cannot push the torso like I was doing here. Okay, but here there's another thing. If I grab a bone that is the last on the IK chain, and this will be this one, right? And it has an offset parenting, I cannot pose it with Auto IK option. See, it's working as if it was connected and I was doing an F key, I just cannot pose it. It's different from this, and it is very different from this one, because you see this doesn't have any parent. It's left unparented, and you see I can pose it entirely. And you see that something weird is happening, or interesting, is that this bone is acting as a pinned bone from its tail joint. You see, this won't move. So this is like, it's almost working as a, this is the feature of the IK bone constraint, the pinning of the hand or of the foot or of the head, that we can do. I thought we could only do this original without IK bone constraint or something like that, a more complicated rig. But actually, Auto IK already has this. But it only happens on very specific circumstance. And this is where I believe we should develop, this should be developed further to bring more options, more possibilities to this rig. So this is the one which we have an unparented bone here. So it's not, so this one I cannot even grab it. I grab, but I cannot, you see, I cannot make that this motion here. I cannot move it from its place. Just because it is offset parenting, for some reason it's arbitrary, and we have Auto IK option. If I disable this and I grab, okay. So this, I believe it's a mistake or a bad solution. I believe this should be changed, because look at this, the unparented one. Now I have the possibility of doing the pinning of, imagine that would be the wrist, right? So you can pin the, just as a, similar to an IK arm with an IK bone constraint. And okay, but here, of course, if we leave a rig with an unparented bone, that can cause a lot of problems. So this is why this is not very effective right now. But you see, we have this, and we have this, and yeah, we could, but yeah, it doesn't respond, right, because it's unparented, and this leads to a lot of more complicated things. I found a solution, but it's like, ideally, we would like to have the pinning feature with the parented offset. So, right, I would like this one, the parenting offset bone, to behave just as this one. So you'll see the dashed line here for the parented offset, but we will be able to grab it and do this spinning thing. But here is another problem of the unparented setup, this one, right? So if I grab this bone, for example, which is not the last in the IK chain here, in this skeleton, let's say, you see that it's not pinning anymore, that tail joint. It's not working anymore. It just works for when we grab this particular bone, the last, let's say, the last bone in the IK chain here. So it will be this bone, or the first in the F key chain, right? So for some reason, it only works here. So same for here. If I grab this, I'm pinning the joint there, clearly. But if I grab this one, no, I'm not pinning the joint. It's over. We can't do anything with this regarding the mimicking of the pinning, IK bone constraint pinning feature, right? I'm calling like that. So, but you see it's spinning from here. So what I thought, let's, yes, so one of the things, we're gonna list it this one by one in the text, right? So this is just the video presentation. So we want to be able to move this bone here, which has the offset parenting, with Auto IK option, the same way that we can pose this bone, and we'll be able to also pin the joint. But here is my, so this is one request. So the other request is that we want, sorry, I need to read a little thing. Sorry for the confusion here. yes, there is another problem, is that something weird happens in this setup here, that let's reset. If I grab the first bone, but the Auto IK length is equal to 1, for some reason we lose the pinning. Something very weird happens. I don't even know exactly what's happening. I think, yeah, so I don't even understand exactly what's happening. Looks like it's spinning from the head. And so if you have 0, it works. If you have 2, it works. If you have 3, it seems smoother. 4, okay, then it seems to include everything, right? Like just if it is 0, right? So it's a bit unclear how this works, but you see, there are some situations where it fails to happen. So, and the Auto IK length of 1 in this particular case. So some weird stuff here, but so maybe we might not even realize that this thing can actually happen if you're operating with Auto IK option. So actually, so you need a lot of details, and if everything is correct, then it works. We have the pinning there, right? All right. So now let's go for the next step. We want, I have 10 steps here in the 5th step of my script. We want Auto IK. Okay, so here is my proposition. The most original one, probably for this, is that the feature request is, what if alongside with an Auto IK length, we could have an Auto FK length while doing the Auto IK posing. So for example, here we already know that let's grab this bone here, which is exactly in the middle, and let's give it an Auto IK length of 2, right? So 2. All right. So this is the Auto IK length. I can change it on demand, right? But what if we could also have an Auto FK length that I could maybe activate with holding Shift and middle mouse wheel. So the same way, instead of middle mouse wheel, just hold Shift and middle mouse wheel. Of course, we don't have the feature here. So that will allow me to adjust not the Auto IK length, but instead a hypothetical Auto FK length. And that Auto IK length will determine where I would like the joint of the connected skeleton to be pinned. Which joint will be pinned? So if I had adjusted not the Auto IK length, but if I have adjusted here with the Shift middle mouse button here, adjust to, let's say, Auto FK length of 1, then okay, it will just be itself, so it will pin from here. So the bone, all this will not move. All this will be fixed in time, in space, sorry, while I'm grabbing this bone. So actually it will just be moving maybe this joint here, this bone. Yeah, it will just be operating. So it will be like something like this. Hold on. I think I need to, it will just be doing, well, maybe not even this, because this joint will be fixed. Yeah, so it will do just some weird thing. I'm not sure. Maybe we need more bone to be, not to be totally static, but maybe they'll have some rotation. Yeah, some IK, very restrained IK thing. But you see the idea. So if we expand the Auto, reconnect here, let's say to Auto FK length to 2, then it will include this bone and it will pin from this joint. So that will bring us, let's try something. Now we can't do this with unparented, so we need to, maybe we'll need to do something like, yeah, so we don't have the feature, right? So this is why it's a bit complicated to demonstrate, right? But let's try. No. So yeah, we need just to clear this. So it's like it will be like I can pose this bone will move, but its joint will be there. Yeah, so we can probably do something like it will be doing something like I guess something like this, right? So and let's disconnect here. So it will be doing, yeah, and it will not stretch, but okay, it will be like pinned there, and okay. A little detail here, but this I shouldn't include, but this will be a separating, is that the inverse kinematics settings here, like Auto IK stretch, doesn't work with Auto IK. So this is a proposition that I would like to ask, but it will be, it's another detail thing. So this just mentioning here. All right, so for some reason, this works with IK bone constraint, but not with Auto IK option for some unknown reason. Okay, so let's destroy this bone constraint, and let's. So the Auto IK length would be a parallel setup, so you can adjust the Auto IK length, and then the other moment shift mouse wheel for adjusting the Auto IK length. So you can determine at that moment of posing where it will be pinned from this connected chain, right? So that is my proposition, the implementation of the Auto IK length. And so it's like you could at any moment pin a joint. So if there is an elbow here, if this is an elbow joint, if it is a wrist joint, okay, I want to pose this shoulder bone with with Auto IK option, and then but I want the Auto IK to go until down the spine, okay, but I want the FK to be pinned here, so then this joint, all these bones won't move. This bone will be pinned from the its tail joint, and as I pose this, this will stay static, and this one will, so I'll move everything, but this will remain in place, and then it will do its I key and an F key, but until here. So this is why the Auto F key, and at any moment the Auto F key length, right? So then I can adjust, oh no, now I want to pin here. And you grab maybe this bone, and okay. So you can adjust this, and at some point, this is something that I would need to investigate further. But what if we don't want to pin anything from? So maybe we would need another options for that, because it will be pinning everywhere, maybe like here, like here. What if Auto F key length is 0? Then does it means that is infinite, that it won't pin anywhere, or it will be it will just pin when it ends, wherever it, so it will pin here and here. While if I grabbed here and I had a Auto F key length of 3, that it will be 1, 2, 3 here, so it will pin here, and then 1, 2, 3, and pin here, right? So but okay, so you have this spinning and this spinning, okay, but what if I don't want to pin at all and do the Auto IK, right? So here I don't have a great answer. Hey, how are you? There's a there's a message here from a fellow that is watching. Welcome. This is just how are you doing, bro? This is just a demonstration here. So I need to continue. Sorry. So the I don't know. Okay, next 6. So Auto F key length. Okay, infinite. All right. Then 7. This was pinnable on demand. Okay, this was the joint thing. Sorry, that is a bit confusing here. And then 8, Auto IK pin general option. Okay, this is where we talk about the options. So basically, what if we don't want any pinning? Maybe we could have, as we have these other options that are relative to Auto IK, right? Maybe we could have something like Auto IK pinning, which would be on by default. So if we turn that off, then all the rigs will operate like this. Like there's no pinning, right? Any pinning from this Auto IK posing. While if you had this on, it will pin whichever thing would be yeah, like here, like yeah, not like here, but yeah, more like this. Yeah, it will pin this. Yeah, it will pin stuff like this, right? Everywhere it can pin with the Auto IK Lenght, hypothetical, where it will tell it will be pinning, right? So that would be a possibility. Another possibility, maybe a little more complicated, but it will be by bone. So it will have some option here like Auto IK pin. So it will be like, I don't know, it could be at the very end or the very beginning. So it will be per bone. So like I want to, it will be off by default maybe. And so for example, oh, this bone, I will never have this bone to be pinnable. So it will be from its tail, I guess. So it then, or maybe you could have from head and tail, two separate options of pinning joints, right? We could have both pinned, but or one or the other. I'm not sure, but let's say that I want never this bone to be pinning from its the Auto IK and the Auto IK Lenght, right? So we just leave it, we disabled, right? And then it will never be pinned, even though I have I'm adjusting here, as long as this is disabled. And so you could do this for bones in the middle. Maybe I don't want the head tail joint to be pinned, so but I want everything else to maybe be pinnable, so on demand. So this is why instead of using a global generic thing, we could have per bone. So this could be interesting. So this is the two things that I thought about that. The generic option would be here, probably close to the Auto IK option, and if it were individual, head joint or tail joint or both, I'm unsure which is better. It's a Boolean thing, or turn on off, right? So that will be probably in this inverse kinematics panel, which only shows on pose mode, just as these pose options, right? So that will be the idea. Then finally, 10, Auto IK Lenght blocker. Okay, so this relates to the offset thing, the current state where you see that the idea of blocking is that this connection here blocks the Auto IK Lenght to bypass this connection, because it's a disconnection. And here it's unparented, so of course there will be no connection, nothing to block here. And here we will have yeah, so I cannot block here because it's all connected, right? So maybe there's it might be interesting if we could have an option that we could tell, like okay, this bone here, I believe it would be on inverse kinematics, like I want to be not a locker, this could be, let's a blocker or something like that. Not a limited, yeah, it will be like a limit, but there's already these names here, lock, limit, so maybe blocker. So that means that we could have an Auto IK chain blocker. So this bone will be blocked from its head, so we cannot extend the Auto IK chain from these bones here. If you augment, it would never cross this bone because from its head, right? Because of this option that would be off by default, right? It's free, but we could have this thing, right? So then I would be able to have this behavior here, but more sophisticated, right? Like here, I don't have the option by having is disconnected parenting. It is already locked, right? And then we could have the same blocker, but for the auto F key chain, so in the other direction. So whichever crosses the tail of the bone, right? The selected bone. So to prevent the F key, auto F key pinning to be expanded beyond a certain threshold, right? But this is, I haven't thought too much about that, so it's more about the auto IK chain here, right? Yeah, the problem, there are many problems, but I believe I'm not asking here that we could use the auto IK chain with disconnected parenting. Like if we disconnect all these bones, disconnected, this one is already disconnected, right? Then the auto IQ option doesn't work anymore for them because they are we cannot connect the right. I cannot connect the auto IQ chain doesn't work. Yeah, doesn't work anymore. So I'm not asking that we have this working for disconnected parenting. I'm just asking that when it is connected, we can do more stuff like the auto F key chain, and also that if we have a disconnected like here, we can also have this behavior here, and even improved by all that I've mentioned, right? Currently we don't have this behavior, so I can pose this let's just remake this setup here. Connected, right? Yeah, so yeah, so you see I cannot I can grab here, but this one is sort of locked in place, so this is not good. I would like to be doing this, right? Okay, so now let me show, now that all the list, thanks for following, all this has been complete, let's go for another rig. This rig was entirely done with it's an experimental rig that I'm gonna show how we can, there's no IK bone constraint here, there's just some connector bone constraints like copy location, copy rotation, very weird bone constraints here, but I'll show you that what auto IK option allows to do. It's very, very crazy. So here you see what I have here are pieces of disconnected bones, like this piece, like this piece, like the hand, the entire hand is one piece, and so this is very weird. So when I grab the torso bone here and this special grabber bone here, and I grab, you see that I have the pinning of the hand there, just as if this was an IK bone constraint. So this is very crazy, and I don't have an IK bone constraint. This is just exploring the possibilities, the vanilla possibilities of current state of auto IK option. So it's already pinning the hand, and if I don't want to pin the hand, then I can, yeah, I turn off the auto IK, right? So you see, this is very crazy, but there are some limitations. I found some ways. If I grab and if I cancel the grab, if I rotate, this is not auto IK option. Auto IK option just works with grabbing. So this is a F key rotation, right? But if I grab and then rotate, now something weird happened. And then I can rotate on the X and Z. So now I'm in taking this is a secret, right? I think I found it by mistake, accidentally, right? And so if I grab and then rotate, and I can rotate again for trackball, I guess, yeah. And then I can rotate again for X and Z, Y on Shift X, those things, you know. So I can bring the rotation alongside the grabbing, which validates, which enables the Auto IK. So this is totally crazy. So you see, but this is very difficult to manipulate, and there are some limitations. I had problems with the leg. So the leg here is incomplete, but see, we can, if I grab the torso and this, so you see I'm pinning the feet. Here, let's pin the head. So this, so you have the pinning of the head. If I change the Auto IK length, I can do more stuff. If I pick this and plus this, then I can do this. So see, no IK bone constraint at all here. So, and this is, imagine if we could do all this while having, not requiring this grabbing madness, because the these are unconnected parented. So I had to make some setup of bone constraint here. A bit advanced rigging here, not too complicated, but it's complicated enough that this is some sort of way to have this bone understand that wherever I move this torso, it will follow this torso. If we do many other stuff, it will not respond, that this bone will start moving in weird ways. Right, so this is a very specific setup here just to have this thing work, right? And so this is not a perfect rig, it's an experimental rig, of course, but this is to show that, look at the possibilities, right, on demand. So if we had the possibility of doing all this with a connected or unparented connection, right, of set already, this will be a large improvement to this. And if we had the Auto IK length alongside the Auto IK, the Auto IK length, which is one thing that I propose, right, so we could do way more interesting stuff here. So another example, you see I have this hand thing. This is a special thing for the hand. Another example, so you see the fingers are moving, right? The hand is moving, but if I pin here, I have the fingertip spinning, even of the thumb. This is because all these are left unconnected at some point there, and it reaches this bone. Yeah, so then yeah, it reaches this bone indeed. Let's see. Yeah, all this ends up being connected, I think, to this, right? So so I see, move the hand. If I just have another selection here, I can pin. So no IK bone constraint here, and I can do this while I'm moving. Yeah, so see. And okay, let's unselect this. So this is completely crazy, right, folks? But unfortunately, I couldn't complete this rig in a way that the legs is more challenging. And even if it was complete, this will far be perfect, because you see that there's too much complications in the grabbing rotations. You need to grab, rotate to enable certain functionalities. It's very confusing, right? But so many things work here and are very interesting. So essentially, folks, you see that the Auto IK option on its own, it's very powerful. It already have very interesting features, but it needs to be upgraded. I'm sure if people, if developers, if the thinker minds, the makers, right, the riggers, if people, the animators, if people start to put some love into this feature, this could be very, very, like it's like for puppeteering animation, right? To making the rigs more user-friendly, more versatile, more powerful, because currently we have to do a lot of crazy stuff just in order to make good rigs to be very good to animate, animate faster, animate more pleasant. So the future of animation and rigging, right? I think Blender already has this tool, and it's just underrated, very, very underrated. The solutions for plenty of solutions for a good 3D animation, excellent 3D animation in Blender already here. They just need to be, they just require some love. So this is my opinion, of course. You may disagree, and I know there are other projects going on, but I think that this is an ongoing or a project or an underrated maybe if it received some attention, this could be very revolutionary. And so we can do a lot of things with this, and here is a crazy example. Okay, so if anyone is interested, just ask me. I can show this, I can provide this file, but essentially this is what I wanted to show. So sorry for the excessive and a little confusion, but this is the points of interest here, and I'm gonna leave this as the complement documentation for the future requests. Thanks, folks. Take care and happy blendering. Yeah, so Medox, not sure if you're still there, but thanks for watching. I'm gonna make more videos, more streams, but this was just for this specific stuff. So see you, folks. Hope that was bearable and durable.